And welcome to my spoiler review of the Luke Cage Netflix series. Here we're covering episodes 5 through to 9. I gotta tell you, my friend Trilby on the Movie Mania podcast has said this about Jessica Jones and a few other Netflix shows, which is, it feels like it's about 4 episodes too long. And I gotta say, it's the same with Luke Cage here. It feels like it's about 4 episodes too long. If they were to trim the fat and tighten it up, it'd be a really cool, snappy, punchy sort of series, but it always feels like they're 3 or 4 episodes behind where I'm at as viewer, and I think it's because of this. Like, I find I'm asking myself, like, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? And then 4 episodes later, they finally will do it. So I'm like, okay, they're heading in the right direction, they're just taking way too long to get there. I don't know, do you guys feel that way? Like with Jessica Jones, it was just like a few episodes too long. It seems to be a common problem with like Marvel's Netflix series, and here we are, episode 5. This episode almost broke me. I almost quit the show because of this, but for the sake of doing this review, I kept going, and it did get better, especially when Diamondback shows up. But it dawned on me in episode 5. This is the episode after he dug his way out of the rubble, after the restaurant got blown up and all that. It occurred to me in that a big problem with this Luke Cage series is the whole thing of he's the reluctant hero, which is fine. Like, that worked fine in Jessica Jones because he was just a character on the side. He's the reluctant hero. But in this, this is a 13 long episode Netflix series. So if you're the reluctant hero for 5 episodes, by the end of it, it's like, look dude, either piss or get off the pot, okay? Just straight up become a superhero or just give it up. But this sort of wandering around in the middle, don't want to be a hero. After a while, that gets annoying, you know? It's like with Daredevil, I mean, there was other stuff with Daredevil that frustrated me, but the thing with Daredevil is he's totally committed to being a superhero, and that gives the show like some kind of direction. But in this with Luke Cage, it just kind of feels like he's just floating around, you know? And even in upcoming episodes, a lot of the stuff that happens it didn't really happen because of Luke Cage's actions. He's just kind of there, and I don't know, I just don't find that particularly interesting. But in episode 5, this is where the nurse lady has a speech, gives like a speech to Luke Cage where she's like, you gotta step up, you gotta be a hero, you gotta be like Daredevil, basically, is what she's saying. And I don't know. And it occurred to me in episode 5 as well that he probably, like, after Pops got killed, he and Cottonmouth probably could have just made an arrangement. Because, like, Cottonmouth, this is more on Cottonmouth than Luke Cage. If Cottonmouth had been a bit more of a smart leader, and I guess he's not supposed to be a smart leader, that's kind of the point of the next few episodes. But if he had just gone up to Luke Cage and said, look, I'm sorry what happened to Pop, you know, it hurts me just as much as it hurts you, but look, I'll make you a deal, I'll stay out of your corner of Harlem, you know, as long as you don't interfere with my business. And Luke Cage is trying to keep a low profile, not really interested in being a superhero, probably would have said yes. But because Cottonmouth went all crazy and was like, I'm going to shoot him with a Judas bullet, all the rest of this stuff, yeah, I guess he was the author of his own downfall. It's a little bit Scarface-like in that sense. But this sort of culminated with me in episode 6. That's the one where Cottonmouth, he finally gets arrested, finally gets brought down, and the way he's brought down is not through Luke Cage. It's through the little Weasley cop guy basically saying, yeah, I'll turn him in. I've kept a diary of all the evil stuff he's done. Here it is. That's got nothing to do with Luke Cage. I mean, that guy, after he gets shot by Cottonmouth, he shows up in Luke Cage's barbershop now. But that's just random luck that he showed up really in Luke Cage's. Like, if Luke Cage never existed, he would have just gone somewhere else and handed over the diary anyway. So Luke Cage did not bring down Cottonmouth. I was like, yeah, he's not... You can't be the reluctant hero forever, because otherwise stuff happens in the show like this and you're not even a part of it. You're just kind of there. And then in episode 7, Cottonmouth just immediately gets out anyway. He immediately gets out. Ugh. I couldn't believe it. But episode 7 did kind of redeem it for me, because this was really the Cottonmouth bio episode. It's where Cottonmouth starts acting a bit smarter, where he goes up to Luke Cage and he's like, look, I know who you are, stay out of my business or I'll turn you in and you'll have to go back to Seagate. Like, that's smart, okay? He's finally being smart, and we see the flashbacks of, you know, him as a youth and all that sort of stuff. That was really good. I really like that. But then there was the big surprise of his cousin knocks him over the head with a bottle, shoves him out a window, and then crushes his head with a microphone stand. My God, I was not expecting that. I really was not. And that was great. And this is something I can say for Luke Cage, the show, is while the story does seem to string itself out, there are good twists in it like this. Like, I did not see that coming. I did not see the Weasley cop being a Weasley cop. So, great, fantastic. And this episode ends with Luke Cage getting shot by the Judas bullet, and that's the first time we see Diamondback. And then episode 8, when Diamondback shows up, he really does live up to the build-up, because they built up to Diamondback a lot. We've heard about him. By episode 8, we've heard a lot about Diamondback, and you're thinking, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And thank goodness they actually did go the comic book route of making Diamondback Luke Cage's childhood friend, and he's the one who sent him to jail. That's good, because I was worried for a while that they were just going to make Diamondback just another generic Kingpin-like villain. I was like, we already have a generic Kingpin in Cottonmouth. Do we need another one? Thankfully, no. They did go with him. He's actually a little bit like Blofeld in Spectre, and not necessarily in a good way, but in that way that he's like, I'm your brother, so I'm going to mess with you because I'm your brother. But it doesn't matter, because I think he was it was almost like Jokerish in a way, wasn't he, Diamondback? He was kind of like the Black Joker. He even has like a I'll show you a magic trick kind of moment, like where he walks into the room where there's all the other criminal bosses around and he just kills them all. He just shoots one, throws a knife at another guy, shoots two guys at once. It's like Heath Ledger shoving the guy's face into the pen when all the other crime bosses are around the table. So I was like, wow, yeah, Diamondback's really good. So I think that kind of saved the show for me, that Diamondback had such a charismatic villain. Maybe his motivation's a little muddled, but who cares? Like, stuff was actually happening in the show, so I was enjoying it. And I was also enjoying seeing the transformation of this. I've really got to learn her name. I can't remember her name. The political cousin, morphing into the new crime boss. Because a couple episodes back, when she was talking to Cottonmouth about Luke Cage, he's like, I can't kill him, he's bulletproof. And she goes, well, does he have gills? Does he breathe underwater? You can drown him. Does fire affect him? You can burn him. She came up with like 5 or 6 different ways of how to take him down. Poison him. She came up with all these different things. And I was like, well, see, she's smart. She should be the crime boss. And see, a few episodes later now, yes, she has become the crime boss. So, good. I mean, it's like what I said before, the show's, it's getting there. It just seems to be taking a few episodes too long to get there. But episode 8 ends with Luke Cage getting shot again with a Judas bullet, a second Judas bullet. And episode 9, he's in real bad shape. He should be dead at this point. He really should be dead at this point, but of course then the show will be over. But that led to them taking Luke Cage back to the guy who originally gave him his powers to try to soften up his skin enough that they could operate and get the shrapnel out of him, which led to him being dunked in acid, which was really brutal to see, but cool, really cool as well. And the other half of this episode 9, was that weird sort of interrogation scene between like that psychiatrist and the cop lady, because she flipped out at the nurse chick a few episodes ago. I don't know, whatever, who cares. It was good, the interrogation scene, but it just seemed weird and out of place. I mean, it's good to get a little bit of background on her, in that the reason she was off balance a bit was that her whole thing is that she sees things, like she's got that vision, that crime site vision thing, but she couldn't see that her partner was corrupt. She couldn't see that Luke Cage wasn't what he was, and then when Diamondback gets the jump on her, it's really spun her off her axis a bit. Like, I mean, that was good for her character, and it was interesting. I certainly found it interesting. It just felt a little out of place. It felt like it was from a different show, but still, good scene, good character development. So click here to check out episodes 10 through to the finale at 13. I've got to say that last chunk was really fun just because it was so action-packed. So click there to check that out, and I'll see you guys there.